Yeah, I thank you. So, yeah, I paid for Phil Stringer's AI class. I was I was one of the first groups. I think I was in the first group of Phil Stringer's AI class. And then when Phil came and told his story about what was going on in his personal life at the time, wow, it just sent goosebumps, even right now, because I had no idea what his situation was, and just how pivotal it was that that first AI class happened. So I feel very blessed that I was part of that, because it certainly changed the way I do business, because I use AI every single day. When I'm responding to emails, I'll type my email out and then I'll put it into AI and say, check this for spelling, grammar, and or make this more industry specific with my wording, and it'll reformulate it for you. It's just it's those little things that you think, oh, that's not really a big deal, but once you start using it, it's pretty pivotal. So let me get to the subject at hand. um, as you guys all know, Pitt Miller is doing the Pie Challenge. Pie Challenge is coming up. It's going to start here in a couple weeks. I think November 1st is going to be the kickoff. And so within that Pie Challenge, what we're trying to do is to get you to engage with the top 20% of your database. Because as realtors, we collectively get punch drunk on new leads. We're always focused on new leads. I'm going to go to realtor.com. I'm going to go to Zillow. Who else sells leads? You know, property boost. I mean, we're a punch drunk on leads, but what the Pie Challenge is really focusing on is building relationships. Hold on 1 second. So someone needs to mute. Help me out there, Steve. So really what we need to do is focus on building relationships. For me personally, I have one client I've worked with for 15 years, and he's a friend of mine, but it's at a business level. You know, we're not going out and getting beers and that sort of thing. We'll meet for lunch and we'll have business lunches. This guy is good for 5 to 6 transactions a year as a referral. I talked to Steve about this. You know, Steve, if you want to chime in, Steve is a master at this. And what he did back in the day when he was heavy into production, before we were EXP and we were building teams, actually before he was New Vision Realty Group, he was heavy into production. He's done thousands of transactions. And talking to Steve about, hey, how did you get there? How did you get to the point where you built the 3 core principles? And that's really what we're focused on with the Pie Challenge, is the core principles of know, like, and trust. Our job as real estate agents is, sure, we want to close transactions, but you want to build the know, like, and trust so that that top 20% of your database thinks of you as their realtor. I was invited to a men's faith-based networking group by one of my top 20%. And he invited me in. He was the organizer of the group, and he invited me in as his realtor. He invited me there with a room of about 60 people, 60 men in this faith-based environment. And there was a speaker that got up. This guy was a wealthy doctor. And at the end of it, he took me to the doctor and said, hey, I want to introduce you to my realtor. I built that relationship with him. And if I had, 15, 20 relationships like that, if we all did as realtors, we would not be punch drunk on buying leads. We would be so busy. We'd be so busy as realtors servicing the leads that we have, and not trying to start new relationships. I get frustrated. I haven't been doing property boosts lately. I haven't, because they're warm leads. You call them and you're trying to develop what? A relationship. So that's what we're focused on with the Pie Challenge. Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point. because Steve has done something very unique in his real estate career, and it relates directly to the pie challenge.
Thanks, Alex. Well, actually, as you guys know here, all you guys should get a little printout from Pitt Miller, who's actually guiding us through the pie challenge. But the pie challenge is an example of a high touch. So what we're trying to teach you guys is how to do high technology, have these great communication methods with large groups of people. Let's say you have 1,000 people in your database and you're sending them out communications. And I see Kevin Wergler, and I'm really impressed with him and his wife, Annette. They do a wonderful little newsletter, but it's just genuine. And it has like, just very basic things, but they're really good about communicating. So what I wanted to do is just sort of tie this into a technique that I've done for years. And it's simply, I write personal handwritten notes for birthdays. It's that simple. Call it the birthday play, and we're probably going to add this in. But the birthday play is just what it sounds. So your database needs to tell you when someone's birthday is, and not everybody, by the way. As you connect with someone and you feel like there's this really good relationship happening, you need to set them aside in a category. And if they meet the mustard and they begin to be that high quality person, I built up to 82 people. So it's not a group that everybody belongs in. And I've done a lot of business, and these 82 people, I will remember their birthday with a handwritten card and a $1 lotto ticket. Now, along with that birthday play, your database should know everyone, their children, under 12. When they get past 12, they're kind of punks. But when you're under 12 and you send a birthday card, let me give you an example. When I do mail a birthday card to a child, it goes straight to the parent, and it's in another envelope addressed to mom or dad, whoever my primary contact is. And then in that birthday card, when mom opens up that envelope, it's unsealed. In fact, I even flip it over so moisture won't seal it. And obviously, any good parent is going to read immediately, oh, this is a birthday card to my child. So they're going to read it. And all it is something basic. Hey, Billy, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. I know you love soccer. Here's a $15 gift card. It was always $10 in the past, might be upwards of 15 or 20 now with inflation. But that is a simple birthday play. Along with the one to the parent with the lotto ticket, this thing falls flat if you don't do one high touch thing. And that is literally call them 5 days after the birthday. You mail it to them. And honestly, I'll be candid with you guys. With today's electronic world, Alex and I were chatting about this earlier, you might be the only human on earth that sends them a handwritten birthday card with an item of value. And what is that item of value? You remembered them. Yes, it's not really the lotto ticket, but it's fun. It's rememberable. Is that a word, Alex? Rememberable? It's memorable.
I think you just made it a word right now. So we're
memorable, we'll call it. I think that's the right way to do it. But think of this, you guys. If you remember the primary contact's birthdays and their children under 12's birthday, and you follow this very respectful way of communicating with the child, and you call them 5 days later, it takes this database and it makes it alive. What it does is it allows you to take 1,000 people that you're electronically communicating with, and you're filtering it down to the people that will do what Alex said. They're going to be in a public environment and say, you need to talk to my realtor, Alex. Okay. My realtor, Kevin, my realtor, John. John Olson is excellent about databasing. We're thrilled about some of the courses and training he's going to do for you guys later in this. But I'm going to leave it at that, Alex. But tying this to the pie challenge is the people that should be targeted in the pie challenge are the people you want to know their birthday. They would be a candidate that would be in that space, and your database should know that information. So I'll turn it back to you, Alex.
Yeah. So that's the real point of what we're doing with the pie challenge. And I think it's the reason we're here talking about it is because we really want to create that framework and that intention, because it's not just about giving away pies. We have bad echo in the room. I'm not sure who that is.
Not me.
So it's not just about giving away pies. Sure, that's what we're doing. But when you create that intention and when you're bringing that client in and giving that pie away, you need to have that framework and say, okay, what is the message on that pie? So when that pie is being given away, you're going to be here in the office, hopefully, and you're going to have a handwritten note, a letter from the heart, and you're just going to make that connection. You're not there to say, hey, I want referrals, or I want to list your house and that sort of thing. It's more about making that connection. We are working on a form. Jen Meek is working on a form to look at getting referrals, giving a piece of paper and writing down, hey, do you have referrals? Because you can't get referrals if you don't ask for referrals. But for me personally, I that whole asking for referral is a is training your database how to do that. So as Steve was talking, I entered a new contact. As you know, I'm a big hairband 80s guy. So Rodney James Dio, he does have a cancer fund. He had cancer. He does great work with his cancer fund and donating to research. My wife is an oncology nurse. She has been for 15 years. And cancer just sucks, you guys. So anyway, I highlight Rodney James Dio. And as Steve was talking, I was inputting the contact. The reason I was doing that is because the other part of the pie challenge is to get everybody involved in the challenge to get their top 20, their top 30, 60, whatever it is. We carry these phones around with us, and we have our top contacts in our phones. But in coaching agents for the last 3 years, it amazes me how many agents don't have their top contacts in their database. They're in their phone, but they're not in their KV core. And within that space, say Rodney James Dio was one of my, top referrals sources. You want to turn on the automations. So I want to go in and I want to put in a market report, and I'll type it in for Granite Bay in the area, and I'm going to have it go out every 28 days. You're going to do this for every single one of the contacts that you put into the pie challenge. And what we're trying to do is to get you, number one, to get the contacts into your database, give them the pie. And giving them the pie, like we said, it's about saying thank you and developing that deeper relationship. And now that you have them in I got to turn these off. Hold on a second. Yeah, my system's set up to automatically turn on smart campaigns. So I just pause those. And so now you turn on these automations and you're doing that light touch of sending them a market report, sending them a listing evaluation. I did try to add this listing evaluation, and for some reason it's not working right now, which happens with KV Core. I'm not sure why. There's glitches at the time, but I think that's just technology in general. Say it's not searching, the ball isn't spinning. So I'll come back and add that later. But what we call this is the cotton play. So I go back to my KV Core Like a Pro on the school platform. I have 47 members right now, and the platform is really growing, and I appreciate everyone joining. But I have all of our Friday recordings. This recording will be in there. It's our Friday recording, but I have the plays. So within this, I've gone in and I've recorded the cotton play where I explain how to turn on these automations when you enter a new lead. The other play that I run in addition to that is the Ricky Carruth. And what is that? Every Friday at 4:30, I send out an email to my database. It's a video. So remember, I went back and talked about this right here, this blog that I did. I'm making a video about this. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to run the Ricky Carruth play. So that every Friday at 4:30, as people get off work, they get home, they sit down, they scroll through their emails, and I'm going to be there. And it's not just my blog post, it's me talking about my blog post, because video is so much more powerful than just a blog post. Now, if you're uncomfortable doing video, if you're like, dude, I'm not doing video, I'm not comfortable with that, you don't have to have your face in there. You could do it without your face. You could just do a screenshot video of you just talking about the blog.
Alex, let me jump in for a quick second here. Leave it on this
Go
screen.
ahead.
So we've got a question here from Miguel. He just asked, where do you find this? So if you could please, while you're doing this, and I'll share a quick minute here, put the link in the chat to the school platform. And we encourage everyone on this call, please grab that link, join as a member. It's free. So he's going to grab that link. But I want you, Alex, when you get a minute, to go back to the plays. And this
Okay.
is really what we're trying to encourage. The cotton play, let's call it the pie play. These are little tiny things we're trying to do for you guys as a community so that you do some very basics to get this system to work. What is a basic? Putting in the people that you currently have, or you consider your top people, your close database, whatever that is 5 people or 500. They need to be in this system. And what Alex just showed you by simply adding in Dio, this hairband guy, is he added in very basic information so that you can do 2 communications. That's a market report and their valuation of their property every 28 days. That close group of people may not need more touch than just that, okay? And you continue to build on that. But jump to the play section when you can, Alex. And as you guys go back and refresh into this play situation, you're going to see additions like the birthday play. The birthday play may not be specific to KV Core. Any database can do it. But how do you harness KV Core so it reminds you special dates that you need to be aware of? Okay, so if you just go into the play section, you're going to start to see these things. And what these are techniques all over America. We're interviewing some of the best agents in America and the things that they're doing. Cotton play, the Cruth play, the property boost play, the core open house play, now the birthday play. And I want to continue to just really give credit to the Worklers because I love their style of communication in Arizona. And one of the things about this platform is you will be able to do a simple newsletter. And if you do nothing but the cotton play, the Cruth play, and a newsletter, you're going to rock the house. And part of why I mentioned the newsletter play is that Alex, through his AI training, and that's why the school platform is really important. You guys got to join it. We're going to harp on this like crazy. Become a member. It's free now, but it won't always be free, you guys. And the newsletter, you're going to learn techniques, how Alex has been able to use AI. And some of you guys will be able to experience that course for free. And some are later down are going to have to pay for these types of trainings. But to build out a really highly personalized newsletter and following these basic plays. I'm going to leave it at that, Alex, but I wanted to just give people direction to get back to the school platform, the critical nature of why it needs to be something that's they're a part of, they're part of that community, and they can go back and become pros at this kind of information.
Yeah, so thank you, Steve, for that. There's a question about the confusion, I guess, about blog and newsletter and the 4:30 video. What I do throughout the month, and it takes discipline because, you can get busy, but it takes discipline, is I'm committed to creating a video a week and 2 blogs a week. And that way when I'm sitting there at Friday, so it's for, this afternoon when I get done with this, I do have property showings to do this afternoon, and that property showing directly came from my efforts to keep in touch with my database. The guy called me out of the blue. Actually, I saw activity. He looked at a property through my website. I called him. Hey, I see you're interested in this property. Yeah, I need to go see this property. I was like, yes, this thing works. It absolutely works. But back to my point. Actually, I lost my point. It was a question that we had. Oh, so the content that we're putting out. So the content that I'm putting out is consistent. And so on Friday, I always have content that I've already done. Okay. Just like today, if I don't have time to make the video, at least I'm going to have a blog that I can send out. But my goal is video. So I will have something that goes out Friday at 4:30. And then on the first Friday of every month, this is what my content calendar looks like personally. On the first Friday of every month, I take all of the content that I've created in the previous 3 weeks and I put it into my newsletter and then I send it out. So I'm actually only creating content 3 weeks out of the month. But if you don't create the content and you get to the first Friday and you go to send your email out and you're like, oh, shoot, I don't have anything to send. And then you're scrambling and it's a much bigger job. And then you get bogged down. You're like, this is a bummer. I don't really like to do this. You don't want to be in that situation. I've put myself in that situation several times, and it really messes with your consistency. And that's the other thing, is it's the consistency in that messaging. So let me get back to Dio here. Within Dio, Steve and I were preparing for this, and I said, Steve, how did you remember to send out the birthday cards? How did you remember to do these things? And he goes, well, I used Outlook. But today with KB Core, we can go in here and we could add a task. Okay. And we can say, birthday card. And then I'm not sure what Dio's birthday is. Let's say it's January 1st. And so within this space, we can go in and we can say January 1st is his birthday. Okay. And it's going to say, when you're going to send this out. And I'm going to say, I'm going to send it out at 8 a.m. Bam. So now 8 a.m. January 1st, I have a reminder at 8 a.m. to send out that birthday card. And I could put in other notes as well. So now I added that task. Okay, that's just one part of it.
Alex, I'm going to comment on that before you go any further. Go back to the task in the notes section. You're talking about the birthday. When you're in the add text, right here in the details, this is exactly, guys, where you will put content for, say, a child. So one of the elements that was really effective for me over the years to get referrals is when I sent a child a birthday card to the parent, I put a $10 gift card in, but I had to remember, and I never remembered, Outlook did, and where I put the notes, what was the child's interest? Is it music? Is it soccer? Is it football? Is it some sports? So if you do a gift card, it's specific to maybe a little sports store or a music store, okay? Become personalized. That parent goes crazy when you personalize something like that to their child. This is though where the system would house that data.
Very good point. So that's where you put that task. Now, the other part of Steve is he does a follow-up call. What's your follow-up call? How many days?
Yeah, this is imperative. It'll fall flat. I mean, it'll completely be a waste of time if you don't call 5 days later. So now they have a birthday, but 5 days after that, you add a second task. Call and see how the birthday went, right? And then if it's a child, for instance, you want to make a verbal statement. How's Billy doing this year with his soccer endeavors? How is you make an observation and they think, wow, I love my realtor. You see, and this is how this system will become so helpful and effective because your brain can't keep it all up here.
So I'm going to put call, and I'm doing it for January 5th. It's 5 days after the birthday. I'm doing it at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. People are usually home, but you can make it for whatever time you want. You can put your notes in there, but you've already sent the birthday card, and now you're reminding yourself to follow up. And now those tasks are right here, and the system is going to notify you to do these tasks. So now it's up to you to have your birthday cards ready to go out. Go out and buy, a box full of birthday cards and just have them ready to go. If you really want to kick
With a lotto ticket,
a scratch here. There you go. Yeah, so Steve puts lotto tickets in. But yeah, so you could have you should have the birthday cards ready to go. And we're not talking about doing this like, let me back up. In my database, I think right now I have 3,000 contacts. I would say probably 70% of those are just a bunch of nothing burgers at this point. And we all have the same problem. We all look at all these contacts and think, yeah, I'm going to convert every one of them. But you haven't invested the time. I haven't invested the time. I don't have the time to invest into 3,000 contacts. But let's pick our top 50. So when you look at this from a perspective of the top 50, those are the ones you really want to invest your time in and develop those relationships. Birthday card, I've watched Steve do it for years. I always shrug my shoulders, didn't pay attention to it. Well, guess what? Steve was the one that's been the big producer. I've been the guy that's always like, God, where's my next deal? That's all shifting for me now that I've committed to using this platform. It really has. I have 2 escrows closing today because of this platform. And the seller has come to me already and said, Alex, we're going to go buy a property and we need to start looking. Because within the system, I had the listing into their profile, and I had the MLS number, and the system sent them updates automatically through the platform. It just does it for you. I mean, it looks like you're really on the ball. I am on the ball, but not quite that on the ball. So what?
Question.
Go ahead.
While we're in this reminder, a question came across in the chat regarding the ability to set up, say, an annualized reminder of these things, or do you have to do it in advance for every year?
So there is a birthday party. I'm sorry, not birthday party. There is a birthday reminder in here that we can turn on. I don't want to burn a bunch of time looking for it right now. So what I'll do, John, is I'll do a separate video and I'll put it on the school platform, and everyone can go into the school platform and view that video. I'll show you exactly where that is. I'm just not prepared to go through. I could find it right now, but it would take a little bit of time.
It's just a question of whether the task we set up can be set up to happen every periodic time, every year or whatever.
Yes, we can make that happen. So, but I'll do a separate video on that to really elaborate, and that way we'll do it as part of the play. The birthday play is what we'll call it. So that's what I have for you guys right now. We're right at a half hour. We try to keep our content focused on a half hour. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to stop the recording, and then when we restart it, we'll take questions. So Steve, go ahead and stop that recording.